Ringing in the new year. Recently I got my hands on 48 whippets of nitrous oxide, and after my plans for tonight fell through, I decided to ring in the new year, it's December 31st right now, with a bit of a dissociative voyage, which I was hoping would culminate in a mystical experience. Before I left, I used one cartridge to loosen up and get a more positive mindset. After that wore off, I drove out to an isolated area and would, over the next 3 or 4 hours, go through 8 more hits of nitrous. This is my first experience with taking more than one hit of nitrous in a short period of time, and using it for its dissociative properties rather than its euphoric ones. As I went through the next 2 hits, I experienced strong dissociation comparable to a high dose of DXM without some of the other effects, for those of you who have been down that road. Still, nothing truly meaningful happened. I went for a walk and noticed as I was walking that although it had been several minutes since I had taken the first hits, I was still a bit depersonalized. After I got back from my walk, I took a few more, 2 or so, hits of nitrous. The dissociation was even stronger this time, and though I was trying to relax and let the entheogen do what it pleased with my mind, there was still nothing meaningful happening inside my head. What happened next is very interesting in my opinion. As I got up for another brief walk, my sense of touch was strobing, much as vision does with some substances, but different from the way sound does with nitrous. Never had I heard of anybody's sense of touch doing this, but mine definitely was. I burst out laughing. I would know where my hand was, on a rail for example, but it would be half a second or so before I could actually feel my hand on the rail. My whole body was completely numb, but for some reason walking wasn't terribly difficult. After a few minutes later, after walking around for a bit, I sat down for another 2 hits of nitrous, and this is where the experience became a bit more spiritual. I turned on some music from my iPod, something by the band called Orgy. With the next hit, I felt the same dissociation as I had with the previous doses, but this time I became aware of what I can only describe as oblivion. Oblivion was absolutely enormous, and everything I knew seemed ridiculously small in comparison. After a minute or so of this, I opened my eyes and I can hardly describe to you how strange everything seemed. It was like being in an alien world, only I was still here on Earth. One more inhale and life began to seem meaningless. Everything I knew was so small and short-lived. All the Earth could not make a ripple big enough to disturb a guppy as it searches for whatever it is a guppy eats. Each hit seemed to be building on the last one. Once more I took a walk and then sat down for about 2 more inhales. The experience this time was a bit more positive and uplifting. I believe it may have had to do something with the music I was listening to. Much of Orgy's music is rather harsh and critical, but this time I had some upbeat classic rock. Although I kept in mind at all times just how small and insignificant everything was, these next 2 boosts seemed to have a bit more optimism in them. All worrying seemed pointless, and I felt a connection to things all around me, and sensed they are, as a whole, more important than I am. All in all, I hope I can keep these things in mind as I go through my life. It would be quite helpful to someone as worrisome as me. I apologize for not being able to tell exactly how many inhales I took in any of my 4 sittings. I had not decided in advance to keep track, and the effects of the drug may have impaired my ability to remember such things even further. Also, it is interesting that when I am looking to experience the euphoria of nitrous oxide, all I need to do is hope for it to come, and it will. Out of all the things I have consumed, which includes morphine and other opiates known for euphoria, nothing compares to the orgasmic surge of pleasure which runs through my whole body when I take a hit hoping for good feelings. Tonight, however, there was little euphoria, only a feeling of my body extending outwards infinitely until it seemed to encompass everything, and this is what I have focused on in the report. The main reason I chose to submit this report is the way my sense of touch strobed. I've never heard of this before, and thought it would be something important to document. Oh, I almost forgot. Happy 2008.